I need Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo injected into my veins. I need it directly put in my bloodstream. I'm gonna have to find Gege and get him to write the rest of it just for me. It can't just be 3 volumes. I can't handle that. It needs to be longer. It's too good. The main point of this chapter is we finally wrap up the back... I say finally, it's been 2 chapters of backstory, and we already have a very satisfying amount of context for the aliens and why they're here and their kind of motivations, and a lot of lore about maybe some alien cursed energy and just cursed energy in general, which is very interesting. I think it ties in with Kenjaku. I'm just gonna say it now. I'll probably make a theory video on the main channel, but if that piques your interest, stick around, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Also, Dabura, the Sukuna level threat. This might seem crazy, I know, but when Gege, like, said that Dabura is potentially a Sukuna level threat, I know a lot of us, like, doubted Gege. What, we take the author to be a reliable source of information? Hell no. He might be a Sukuna level threat. Yeah, because he's pretty cool, but he's not Sukuna. Let's get that very straight. He's not Sukuna. He's an interesting guy, and we learn a lot about him in this chapter. Anyway, chapter starts with a little bonus page of Yuka and Tsurugi as kids. Basically, Yuka's friends told her that Tsurugi likes someone, said you can't tell anyone, so she decided to go to the Gojo storehouse and talk to Panda, who is still sat idly, fully conscious on a shelf, which is kind of tragic, but good riddance, because... fuck you, Panda. Yeah, Tsurugi then... oh, whatever. Who cares? Move on. We get immediately into the flashback. Basically, all Samurians have a third eye, and that is the basically the source of their Loruluka, which is their word for cursed energy. We now have confirmation. It is cursed energy, all right? It's just they have the eye, that's their source, potentially through them being more evolved than humans, you know, having reached the place where they have a way of all controlling cursed energy, just like Geto and Yuki and, well, pretty much everyone with a brain wanted, where cursed spirits weren't born because, you know, cursed energy doesn't leak off. It's my belief that they're just a higher form of evolution that managed to control the ability, which plays into my theory, but we'll get into that in a second. Now, Lemurians, which are a race of Samurians, they are Maru and Cross's race, whereas Dabura is a Descanton, which is another race, basically. Same as Earth, you know, different races, same species. And basically their eyes cry when they are born or when they die. But for Lemurians, when a Kalian perishes, which is the big griffin beast things that are sacred to Lemurians, they cry as well, and that's very bad. It's bad for their brain or some stuff like that. Whatever. And yeah, the bad thing happened to the Descanton patriarch's daughter. So now the Descantons, who are mighty warriors, have called for a duel between a chosen warrior of Descanton and one of the Lemurians. Now, the last time there was a war, there was another duel, and Dura, or Dula, however you want to pronounce his name, is basically, well, they think he's the strongest guy around. All right, he's the strongest. Yep, definitely not the first time we've heard that in JJK. And all the guys on the Lemurian side are like, yes, wait, a duel? That's great. We can send Dura in there because he beat the crap out of the guy he dueled last time. Nice. But Dura seems kind of, he's like, oh, I don't know. And I don't think it's because he doubts his strength. I think it's more so because, well, we'll get to that. But yeah, we get a really cool panel of these demon-looking guys who are basically the Descantons being depicted as demons. And yeah, they're just generally considered a stronger race than the Lemurians, all right? Like Maru, I think it's Maru or Cross, one of them is like, okay, we're not fodder, all right? We're strong, but the Descantons are a different league. Which means that Dura, if he's able to win duels against their mighty warriors, is pretty damn strong, all right? So anyway, they agree to the duel because the Descantons are like, right, Patriarch's daughter died, now we want all of your land. Cool. But yeah, Dura's doubtful. And they duel. They do dueling things. Well, kind of. Basically, we go into the arena, everyone sees Dabura walk out, and immediately all hope that Dura is going to slam this guy is lost because Dabura is hella scary. They feel his aura and they're like, shit, we lose. GG. Yeah, Maru and Cross just kind of start losing their shit. But then something very interesting happens. We actually see Dabura looks really, really sad. And Dura approaches him and speaks to him like he's an old friend. He asks him, you know, he says, oh, it's been a while. How's your sister? And then he goes, so they're keeping hostages now. Meaning, I think meaning Dabura or Dabura and his sister, or just his sister, is being kept hostage. Either way, we basically get the context that Dabura and Dura were neighbors, or very good friends, back in the days before the Lemurians were exiled and the Descantons and Lemurians supposedly lived in some kind of peace, right? Before they were exiled. And that's why Dabura looks very sad, because he has been sent out here to effectively kill his friend. And he literally says to Dura, like, what am I supposed to do? They asked me to destroy you, but I can't say no. And Dura's like, it's fine, that's fine, it's gonna happen. it is what it is, but I have a favor to ask of you. And the favor he asks is that he protects the rest of the Lemurians, which is very interesting because like I've been speculating for a while, it does suggest that Dabura is not a cold-hearted bad dude. He seems like a genuinely good person who has had an unfortunate life, which is an interesting change of pace for Jujutsu Kaisen, where the villains are normally like just genuinely heartless, merciless monsters, right? I don't think he's the antagonist. I'ma just say it, I don't think that's him, all right? But he is blatantly the strongest. The conclusion of the duel after Dura gives a speech, which I'll talk about in a second, is that Dura got slammed. Now, from the way I'm interpreting it, Dabura is said to have not gone all out, but he did destroy him, right? Which is disrespectful, sure. Now, Dabura said this is because he didn't want to hurt his face, all right? But Dura really doesn't seem like he put up much of a fight, and it is said in the chapter that these two used to be like training partners, neighbors, brothers, right? Like they would train and kind of help each other get stronger. The way it's presented, they should be like in the same ballpark. I don't think Dabura is depicted as being that much stronger that he's just one-shot him no problem. Given the context, it did not seem like Dura was going to fight back or put up any kind of fight to try and beat Dabura. So regardless how we spin this, we're probably never going to know like who's actually stronger here. I'm not making excuses. I know, all right? Listen, I know we're not getting into a gender. The way I've interpreted it is that Dura is not fighting back and Dabura ended it quickly. Mercifully. Which is interesting because I wasn't expecting that for his character. He did look cold-hearted. I didn't necessarily think he was a bad dude. I didn't think he was the villain, but he seems like a genuinely troubled and nice person who we know is now on that ship with them because he was given the task of protecting Maru and Cross and the Lemurians, which is why, Maru and Cross have sided with Dabura, one of the Deskintons who has, stolen their home from them. It all kind of makes a lot of sense. An amazing amount of context and story given in only 2 chapters. Like, how does Gege do it? I don't know. Anyway, Dura gives a big speech about, basically, we know that the reason the Deskintons exiled us and took our land is not because of our relationship with the Kallian beasts. It is because of Muru, which is a special ore that stores Loruluku within it, or cursed energy, right? It's a cursed energy stone, an ore. Now, in this chapter, I'm gonna get cooked for saying this. I am sensing, maybe, just a teensy-weensy little bit of Kagurabachi influence. Datanseki, Spirit Energy Ore. Now we've got, Muru, Cursed Energy Ore. And then in the same chapter, we have the big boss man of the Deskintons saying, he literally says, Dabura, proceed. If you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say on it, all right? But the prospect excites me. Anyway, yeah, Dabura's look hella upset. Dura gives his really heartwarming speech about, look, I know it was never for a noble cause, but if you Deskintons are gonna march and take our land while feigning that religion and faith or, a holy cause is your reason, then obviously we're not going to be able to do anything about it, but people are going to have their doubts, right? Because that's effectively what the Deskintons seem to be doing. They just want the resources and they're hiding behind this noble or holy cause as a shield, which I feel like Gege's making a statement there, but I don't want to get political on the channel, so, I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, Gege literally says, like, religion was meant to guide our lives, not be twisted into a cultural weapon of war. It's a positive message, the importance of, like, I won't get into it because I just want to see a cool fight. But yeah, the fight's off screen, ironically. And Maru and Cross are hella upset. Dabura seems like a good dude. And then we see this very interesting panel of Dura kind of lying there dead and his eyes crying because that's what they do when they die. And his hands are kind of held in a shape very similar to Kenjaku's domain hand sign. Very similar, which represents, I can't remember exactly, something in Buddhism about like the 18 palm movements of something to do with enlightenment or reaching enlightenment. Kenjaku's was meant to represent like kind of the coming together of the supposed curse world and the human world, whereas Dura's hands are still separate, but it's a very similar kind of pose. Again, I do think Kenjaku's going to be important in this story, but I could be coping, who knows. We get a little flashback. Dura's catchphrase or thing he used to say used to be like neighbors, because obviously he was back in the day before they were exiled, he was neighbors or friends with Dura and their companions who understand why the things you treasure are so important. That gives context, why Maru and Cross were kind of so captivated by the idea of neighbors when Tsurugi said it. Anyway, yeah, Dura's dead, very sad, and then we're basically there with Jabaloma and other Simurians. They're sat in the trench, the canal they dug out, and they were like, crap, tomorrow morning, Deskintons are gonna walk in here, take all our shit, we need to leave. And then Dabura pulls up. He pulls up with someone who I'm going to assume is his sister. I don't know. And he's like, Dura left you something. And we then see the rocks that Dura told Maru and Cross not to touch when he was digging this canal. It is a massive pile of Muru, which is, again, the cursed energy or Loruluka ore, which is a massively important resource, which now, if the Deskintons come, they're going to take it for themselves, which is not ideal. So, yeah, we need to basically get it out of here. Still, most people think, well, there's nothing we can do about this giant mountain of stuff. We're cooked. We're finished. But then Maru or Cross, one of them, I think both of them, maybe. Have a little flashback to this very Gojo-like page of where Dura is saying, a village, a town, or a city, like, even if I die, like, I'm building this canal so that someone can come and take advantage of this thing that I built to lead Lemuria down the path to reach a better place, basically. Setting up the future of the next generation. It's very Gojo. I don't know. Let's not bring Gojo into this. But yeah, Maru then kind of says, look, this is the path that Dura carved for us. And Maru and Cross, like, hold hands, and their cursed energy, or Laura Luca, fluctuates, and they basically make all the rocks float, and then Jabaloma is like, wait, this isn't just Muru, this is something far purer than that. So they're doing some crazy sorcery shit right now, and they basically build a spaceship. They just, like, hold hands, and then just, like, do cursed energy, sorcery stuff. I don't know how with this Muru stuff, and then a spaceship is built. And they're like, fine, we're leaving. We're gonna go find our neighbors, we're gonna go find another planet, and that's gonna be it. All right, that's it. And Dabura then says, I'm gonna come with you because I made a promise to Dura to protect you. And that is then them leaving on their journey to go find another planet, or Earth, because the Descantins were gonna come and, you know, play them all out, which is a load of context and a load of really well-written backstory with a lot of good setup in only 2 chapters, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, the whole Dura-Dabura thing really interests me. I'm not gonna lie, Dabura seems like a very interesting character, and he does seem very strong. Not gonna cap, him and Dura seem to be like the Gojo and Sukuna of their age, if, you know, obviously one of them didn't get Sukuna-fied, right? They seemed like they were both pretty good people. So if Sukuna was a decent dude, then that's kind of them. You know what I mean? Whatever. I'm going way too off topic now, and the video, like, my recording's now 13 minutes. I'm gonna have to pay Josh like $4 trillion more. Whatever. Amazing chapter. I love it. So much context. It was really hard to talk about it because there's so much text. Gege's trying to scare off the old, you know, fan base who can't read and replace it with Hunter x Hunter's fan base who definitely can read, because there's a lot of text in here, but I love it. I think it's great. I can't wait to see what we do. I think the flashback's over. Knowing this context now, I can't wait to get back into the story and see where it goes. We've done all this in only 9 chapters. It's peak. I'm really enjoying it. I love it. It's dope. All right, anyway, like, subscribe. I'll see you in a bit.